Greetings of the day. This is Thangarasan from Department of Computer Science and Engineering from Madanapalli Institute of Technology and Science. Today we are going to check the topic about the basic computer organization. So as we are the computer science and engineers, it is very essential to know about what is the role and work that is happening within the computers. So three main things you have to know about the computers is one is about the working policy of the system. Second one is what is the role of the memory and what is the role of the processor. The role of the memory and processor is a very important thing in running out the all kind of the systems. So these are all the flow of the presentation today I'm going to give. So it contains the introduction to computer organization and it contains the basic operational concepts, and we are going to check about the generic computer organization and what is the role of the bus that plays between the processor and the bus, processor and the memory, and what is bus representation and what is the instruction cycle. As I have already said, the basic computer organization have the three main components. Okay. One is called as a CPU, that is central processing unit, and another one can be called as a memory subsystem. It can be used for storing all kind of the data, and third one can be considered as a IO subsystem. That is, one is considered as the input, another one can be considered as the output. For any kind of the system, we will be involved with giving some kind of the input data and we will extract some kind of the output data. This is a very basic operation that is happening within the all kind of the systems. It is all about between the how the communication that is happening between the memory and the processor. So the most important thing we have to check over here is three kind of the path will be there between the processor and the memory. One can be considered as the address path, and another one can be considered as the data path, and another one can be considered as a control path. And all these paths can be controlled and it can be accessed via the bus. That can be later we will check as a address bus, data bus, and the control bus. So when coming into the processor, so in the important things we have to note down what are all the things that is happening within the processor. The first thing we have to start is MAR, that is called as a memory address register. Next one can be considered as a MDR, that is memory data register. Next one PC, that is program counter. Next one IR, instruction register. Then general purpose register. This is a kind of the space that all kind of the arithmetic and logical calculations can be happened. Then ALU, that is arithmetic and logic unit, that is used for performing the particular operation. Then control, this can be used for controlling overall operations that is happening within the processor. So we are going to check all these kind of the things in very brief manner. This is the primary function of the computer system. As I have already told, the communication will be start from the MAR. The first thing, the MAR will start sending some kind of the address to the memory. So the memory will hold all kind of the data. It contains two kind of the segments. The data will be stored in each and every kind of the address. So first, the processor will keep on sending some kind of the request in the form of the address to the memory. So what the memory will do means, so whatever that request that came from the processor, it can able to check with the memory whether the particular thing is available in the particular address or not. Then it can able to send the same kind of the data with the MDR. So the MDR will be connected in between the memory and the processor. So the data what is requested by the MAR can be sent through the MDR. The MDR will pass the data from the memory to the CPU. So more kind of the things are there. So another one more important thing we have to note it on is special function registers. It contains the program counter, instruction registers, and both MAR and MDR also can be considered as a special function registers. So program counter, what is the role of the PC means it hold the large amount of the addresses. Whatever the next sequence that is going to be executed or next forthcoming kind of the addresses, whatever that going to be reach the memory, all those information can be stored under the PC, that is program counter. Then instruction register is responsible for deciding what kind of the operations that can be performed for the particular task. For example, MAR is sending some kind of the address to the memory, and memory is fetching and giving back the particular data from the memory to the processor. So once the data is brought inside the processor, it can be directly sent to the IR. So here IR can able to understand the particular data and and instruction, and it can able to decide what kind of operations that can be performed to the particular data and the instructions. Okay, so after all these operations is completed, again the PC will add some more data, some more addresses, and again it will send it to the memory. So this is the role of the PC. So generally we can consider PC as it hold the large amount of the list of the instructions or list of the addresses, whatever that should be sent next to the memory. Yes. Program counter, I have already told, it monitors the execution of the instructions, and it can able to keep the track of the instructions, whatever that is going to be executed, and it is going to be sent to the memory next. Instruction register, I have already told, so it can able to hold the instruction that is currently being executed. Okay, it can able to decide what kind of the operations that can be performed, and what is the need, how it can be performed, how it can be executed, like kind of the things can be decided by the IR. So two very most important registers, MAR and MDR, because this is the initialization of the communication between the memory and the processor. So that is address register and the data register. Address register always deals only with the address. Data registers only deals only with the data. And one more thing we have to know is the MAR is only unidirectional. Only the address can be sent from the processor to the memory. But MDR is bidirectional. Both the data can be taken from the memory and also it can be stored back with the memory. So this is one of the main differences between the MAR and the MDR. So one is address register, another one is data register, one is unidirectional, another one can be considered as the bidirectional. So whenever the processor want to make some kind of the communication with the memory, first it start with the address, then it can able to fetch or get the data from the memory, and again once all kind of the operations is done, again it will store the same kind of the data in the memory with the help of the MDR. Yes. So I have already told three kind of the path will be available between the processor and the memory. So under the three path can be carried with the help of the bus. It can be also considered as a bus. The root path between the processor and memory can be considered as a bus. So three kind of the bus will be available. One can be considered as a address bus. Second one can be considered as a data bus. Third one can be considered as a control bus. The address bus only can able to carry the data from the processor to the memory. So that's why you can able to see that as a unidirectional. It can able to only travel from the processor to the memory. Second one, data bus. So it can be seems as a bidirectional. So both the data can be fetched from the memory and also it can be stored back with the memory. So whatever the data that is required by the processor, the request can be given in the form of the address and it can be taken from the memory. After all kind of the operations that is done, and then it can be stored back inside the memory. So this is the role of the data bus. Then control bus. So control operations can be happened in all over the systems. So one thing is within the processor whether all the operations are going fine or not. So such a kind of the control also can be monitored, and the communication that is happening between the CPU and memory also can be controlled over the control bus. So this is the role of the bus. Generally the bus can be defined as it can able to carry some kind of the information from one location to the another location. So it can be categorized into the three kind of the ways as we are mentioned here. Yes, same thing. It can be denoted as address bus, data bus, and control bus. Each bus having their own task, so it can able to all general thing about the buses. It can able to carry the data from one place to another bus, but it depends upon the name or depends upon the work. For example, it want to carry the address means it can be done by the address bus. If it want to carry the data, it can be done by the data bus. If it want to carry the memo of the control signals, it can be done by the control bus. Yes. So this is the role of the bus. All kind of the communication can be happened with the help of the bus only throughout the processor and the memory. Yes. Next one very important thing we have to know is we are talking about the some kind of the communication that is happening between the processor and the memory. So we have to know about what is the instruction cycle. So we are deriving some kind of the program and we are just loading into the system and we are just executing and we are just feeling how the input can be given, how the output can be taken like that. Okay. So here generally whenever you are start trying any kind of the execution of the instructions, so some kind of the phases are there. So the primary phases can be considered as a fetch, second one is decode, third one can be considered as a execution. So fetching is nothing but just taking the particular instruction and just analyzing and taking the instruction can be comes under the fetching. Decoding is just understanding and it's decoding the particular instruction can be considered as the decoding. Here you can able to go for deciding what kind of the operation that can be performed for the particular instruction. For example, some instructions may be differ in their operation. Some may have the addition operation, some may have the subtraction, some may have the multiplication, some may have the division. So you have to understand what is the code of that particular instruction, how it can be executed or not. And the third one can be considered as the execute. Here only after deciding what kind of the operation that can be performed, it can be in the particular instruction can be executed. Yes. So this is all about the primary fundamentals about the computer organization. So here we have discussed what is the role of the memory, what is the role of the processor, how the instruction can be taken and it can be executed. And these are all my references. Here I have taken the diagrams and all kind of the information for the presentation. So thank you for giving this opportunity.